The morning sun slowly rose over the tall, iron gates of the mansion, casting long shadows across the wide driveway. The house was massive, built with white stone and large glass windows that reflected wealth and power. Inside, everything was quiet. Too quiet for a place where so many people worked every day. This was the home of a famous millionaire named Richard Hale, a man known for his success, discipline, and emotional distance from the world. Richard's life looked perfect to outsiders. He had money, respect, and a beautiful home. But inside those walls, there was an emptiness that no one talked about. His wife, Eleanor, spent most of her days busy with social events and charity work. And though she loved her child deeply, she often relied on staff to handle daily responsibilities. Their baby boy, Noah, was just under 2 years old. He was known as a calm and smiling child, rarely crying, and loved by everyone in the house. That morning, the household was preparing for something ordinary yet important. A new maid was arriving. The previous maid had left suddenly due to illness, and the house needed someone reliable. Richard was very strict about who worked in his home. He valued loyalty, silence, and professionalism above all else. After several interviews, one woman had been selected. Her name was Anna. Anna stood outside the gates holding a small bag. Her hands were shaking slightly as she looked at the enormous house in front of her. She had worked in many homes before, but nothing like this. Still, it wasn't the size of the mansion that made her nervous. It was the feeling in her chest, a strange mix of fear and sadness that she could not explain. Anna was in her early 30s with tired eyes and a gentle face. Her clothes were simple and clean. Her life had not been easy. She had learned early how to survive quietly, carrying pain without showing it to the world. Taking this job was not just about money. It was about starting again, about keeping a promise she had made long ago, even if no one knew about it. The head housekeeper opened the gate and led Anna inside. She explained the rules quickly. No unnecessary talking, no questions about the family, no personal involvement. Anna nodded to everything. Her voice was soft when she replied, and she kept her eyes low as they walked through the halls. Anna noticed how cold the house felt despite its beauty. It did not feel like a home. It felt like a place where people lived carefully. Inside the living room, Eleanor sat with Noah in her arms. The baby was playing quietly, laughing at his own reflection in a mirror toy. His laughter filled the room with warmth, making it feel alive for a moment. Eleanor looked up when she heard footsteps. "This is the new maid," the housekeeper said. Anna stepped forward slowly. The moment Noah looked up and saw Anna, something changed. The baby's smile disappeared, his eyes widened, and his small body became stiff for a second. Everyone thought he was just surprised, but then his face turned red, and he began to cry. Not a soft cry, but a loud, painful cry, the kind that comes from deep inside. Everyone froze. Eleanor stood up quickly, rocking Noah in her arms, trying to calm him. It's okay," she whispered, but Noah cried harder, stretching his arms toward Anna and then pulling them back as if he was confused. His cries echoed through the room, and the staff exchanged worried looks. "This is strange," the housekeeper said softly. "He never reacts like this." Anna felt her heart drop. She stood completely still, her hands tightened around her bag. She had expected many things on her first day, but not this. Seeing the baby cry like that made her feel a sharp pain in her chest. Tears filled her eyes, but she forced herself to stay calm. "I'm sorry," Anna said quietly. "I didn't mean to upset him." But Noah kept crying. His eyes never left Anna's face. It was as if he recognized her, or feared her, or remembered something he could not explain. The room felt heavy, as though something unseen had entered with Anna. At that moment, Richard walked into the room. His footsteps were firm, and his presence alone made the staff straighten up. He stopped when he saw the scene. Eleanor trying to calm the baby, the staff standing silent, and Anna frozen near the door. "What's going on?" Richard asked. Eleanor looked at him, confused and worried. "He started crying the moment he saw her," she said. Richard looked at Anna carefully. His eyes were sharp, judging. He did not like disorder, and he especially did not like problems caused by new staff. "Babies cry," he said coldly. "He will calm down." But Noah did not calm down. His cries grew louder, more desperate, and then suddenly he stopped. The silence was shocking. Noah looked straight at Anna, his small face serious. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something. Eleanor gasped softly. "Did you see that?" she whispered. Anna's breathing stopped. No one expected what happened next. The baby opened his mouth and tried to speak, forming sounds that did not belong to a child his age. His voice was weak, but clear enough to be heard. Every person in the room felt their blood run cold. Anna felt her knees weaken. She knew, deep inside, that this moment would change everything. She had walked into this house thinking she could remain invisible. But the moment Noah cried upon seeing her, the past she had buried so deeply began to rise to the surface. And the story had only just begun. The room felt frozen after the baby made those strange sounds. Everyone stood still, afraid to breathe. Eleanor held Noah tightly against her chest, her heart beating fast. Richard stared at the child with disbelief, and the staff looked at each other, confused and frightened. Anna felt as if the ground beneath her feet was slowly disappearing. Noah's crying had stopped completely. His small hands gripped his mother's dress, but his eyes were locked on Anna. His gaze was not empty or childish. It was deep, searching, almost knowing. Eleanor tried to smile nervously, hoping to break the tension. She kissed Noah's forehead and whispered softly to him, telling him everything was fine. But nothing felt fine anymore. Richard cleared his throat and took a step forward. "This is getting ridiculous," he said, trying to sound calm. "Babies make strange noises. It doesn't mean anything." Yet even he could hear the slight shake in his own voice. The head housekeeper suggested taking Noah to his room so he could rest. Eleanor agreed quickly, eager to remove the baby from the strange atmosphere. As she turned to leave, Noah suddenly reached out again, his tiny finger pointing straight at Anna. His lips moved once more, forming broken sounds that felt like words trying to escape. Anna's eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth with her hand. Memories she had locked away for years began to flood her mind. Memories of pain, sacrifice, and promises made in silence. She had known this day might come, but she never imagined it would begin like this. Eleanor stopped walking and looked back. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Richard, I don't like this," she said. "Something is wrong." Richard did not answer immediately. He was staring at Anna now, studying her face, her pale skin, her shaking hands, the fear in her eyes. Something about her felt familiar, and that thought made him uncomfortable. He pushed it away quickly. "Take the child upstairs," he said firmly. "He needs rest." Eleanor nodded and left the room with Noah. The baby kept looking over her shoulder until Anna disappeared from his sight. Only then did he rest his head against his mother's shoulder, still alert, still uneasy. The room felt empty after they left. The staff slowly returned to their duties, whispering quietly among themselves, pretending nothing strange had happened. The head housekeeper gave Anna a careful look and told her to follow her to the kitchen. Anna obeyed silently. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk. As they moved through the long hallway, Anna's mind raced. She remembered the night she had stood alone, holding a secret that could destroy lives. She remembered the choice she had made to disappear, to live quietly, to protect someone who would never know the truth, until now. In the kitchen, the housekeeper showed Anna her tasks for the day: cleaning, organizing, helping with meals. Anna listened carefully, nodding at every instruction. Her voice barely worked when she answered. Her hands trembled as she tied her apron. Time passed slowly. Every sound felt louder than usual. Every step in the hallway made Anna's heart jump. She could not stop thinking about Noah's eyes, about the way he looked at her, as if he recognized her soul. Upstairs, Eleanor sat on the edge of the bed, rocking Noah gently. The baby was quiet now, but his face was serious, too serious for a child so young. Eleanor brushed his hair softly and whispered questions to him, asking why he cried, asking what scared him. Noah did not answer, but he did not sleep either. Meanwhile, Richard stood alone in his office, staring out the window. He told himself it was nothing, just a strange moment, but a feeling he had not felt in years began to grow inside him. Guilt. He remembered a woman from his past, someone he had pushed out of his life without looking back, someone whose face he had tried hard to forget. He shook his head and turned away from the window. Coincidence, he muttered to himself, yet his hands were cold. Back in the kitchen, Anna accidentally dropped a cup. It shattered on the floor. The sharp sound made her flinch. Another maid rushed over to help her clean up, asking if she was all right. Anna forced a small smile and said she was fine, but inside she felt like screaming. She knew she could not stay invisible anymore. Every step she took in that house pulled her closer to the truth, a truth that had waited years to be spoken. The baby's cry was not fear. It was recognition, a bond beyond logic, beyond age, beyond reason. That evening, as the sun began to set, Eleanor carried Noah downstairs again. The family gathered for dinner. The staff moved quietly around them. Anna stood near the doorway, her heart pounding. She tried not to look at Noah, but Noah looked at her. His eyes softened this time. The fear was gone, replaced by something else, something gentle, almost sad. He made a small sound, not a cry, not a word, but a whisper of memory that only Anna could feel. Anna lowered her head. Tears fell silently onto the floor. Richard noticed this, his chest tightened. He felt as though he was standing on the edge of a truth he was not ready to face. The past he buried was knocking on his door, and it had arrived in the form of a quiet maid and a crying child. No one spoke about what happened that day, not during dinner, not before bed, not even in whispers, but everyone felt it. Something had entered the house, something that would not leave until it was heard. And deep inside, Anna knew the baby had started something that could never be stopped. The night passed slowly, and no one in the mansion slept peacefully. The walls that once felt silent now seemed to listen. Every shadow looked deeper, every sound heavier. Anna lay awake in her small room near the back of the house, staring at the ceiling. Her heart would not calm down. The baby's eyes, his strange sounds, and the feeling in her chest kept returning again and again. She had spent years running from this moment, years telling herself that the past was buried and would never rise. But now it had a voice, a small voice that could barely form words, yet carried more power than any adult in that house. Early the next morning, Anna woke before the sun. She washed her face, hid the signs of crying, and prepared herself for the day. She told herself she would stay strong, that she would do her work quietly and leave when the time was right. But deep inside, she knew that leaving would not be easy anymore. Downstairs, the mansion slowly came to life. The staff moved quietly, speaking in low voices. Everyone remembered what had happened the day before, but no one dared to talk about it openly. Fear and curiosity hung in the air like mist. Eleanor came down holding Noah in her arms. The baby was calm, his face peaceful, but his eyes were alert. Watching everything, Eleanor looked tired, dark circles under her eyes. She had spent the night thinking about what she saw and heard. No matter how much she tried to explain it logically, something felt wrong. Richard joined them shortly after, dressed sharply as always. But his face was tense. He kissed Noah's head and glanced around the room. His eyes stopped on Anna for a brief moment. Anna felt it like a weight on her chest. She lowered her gaze and continued working. Breakfast was quiet. Too quiet. The sound of spoons and cups felt loud in the silence. Noah sat in his high chair, playing with his food, occasionally looking toward Anna. Each time their eyes met, Anna felt her breath catch. Then suddenly, Noah dropped his spoon and made a small sound. Everyone looked up, expecting another cry, but this time he did not cry. He pointed toward Anna. "Ma," he said softly. The sound was faint, unclear, but close enough to a word that it made Eleanor's hands tremble. She stared at Noah in shock. "What did you say?" she whispered. Noah looked at Anna again and repeated it, slightly clearer this time. "Ma." The spoon slipped from Eleanor's hand and hit the floor. Richard stood up, so fast his chair moved backward. The staff froze. No one spoke, no one breathed. Anna felt the room spin. Her legs weakened, and she had to hold the counter to stay standing. Tears filled her eyes. She had imagined many things happening one day, but hearing that word from Noah's mouth broke something inside her. Eleanor's voice shook as she spoke. "He doesn't call me that," she said quietly. "He has never said that before." Richard's face turned pale. His mind raced, searching for explanations, but none made sense. Babies did not say things like that without reason. He looked at Anna again, really looked at her this time. Her face was filled with pain, not confusion, not surprise, pain that came from deep inside. "What is this?" Richard demanded, his voice tight. "Why is my son pointing at you?" Anna tried to speak, but no words came out. Her throat felt closed, years of silence pressed down on her. She shook her head slowly, unable to face him. Eleanor picked Noah up quickly, holding him close as if to protect him. Her heart was pounding, fear and doubt twisted together inside her. She looked between Richard and Anna, her eyes searching for truth. "This isn't normal," Eleanor said. "Something is happening." Richard clenched his fists. "Enough," he said sharply. "This woman is causing trouble in my house." He turned to the head housekeeper. "She will not work near my child anymore." The words hit Anna like a knife. She nodded slowly, accepting it. Maybe this was for the best. Maybe distance would protect everyone. But Noah began to cry again, louder than before. His small hands reached out toward Anna. His cries filled the room with desperation, as if he was being taken away from something he needed. Eleanor struggled to calm him. "Richard, look at him," she said, tears in her eyes. "This is not fear. This is something else." Richard felt his control slipping. His past, the one he buried under success and money, was pushing its way back into his life. He remembered a young woman from years ago, her tears, her silence, the way he had walked away without asking questions. The memory made his chest tighten. "Who are you?" Richard asked Anna quietly, his anger replaced by something darker. "Tell me the truth." Anna finally looked up at him. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, recognition flashed between them. Richard felt his heart drop. He knew that face. He had seen it before, years ago, in a different life. "I never wanted this," Anna whispered, her voice breaking. "I never wanted to come back like this." Eleanor's breath caught. She felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "Come back," she repeated softly. Noah slowly stopped crying. His head rested against Eleanor's shoulder, his eyes still on Anna. His tiny hand opened and closed, as if asking to be held. Anna took a small step forward, then stopped. Fear held her back. She knew that once she spoke, nothing would ever be the same again. "I kept quiet to protect him," she said softly. "I kept quiet to protect everyone." Richard felt his heart pounding in his ears. "Protect who?" he asked. Anna looked at Noah, her tears falling freely now. "Him," she said. The room felt like it was closing in. Eleanor felt dizzy. Her arms tightened around the child she loved. Questions she had never imagined filled her mind. No one said another word, but everyone knew the truth was standing right in front of them, waiting to be spoken. And the child, too young to understand lies or secrets, had opened the door that could never be closed again. The room remained silent after Anna spoke that single word. The air felt heavy, as if everyone was holding their breath at the same time. Eleanor looked down at Noah, then back at Anna, her hands shaking slightly. Richard stood frozen, his mind racing between the past and the present. Anna felt exposed, as if every wall she had built around her heart had suddenly fallen. She had carried her secret for so long that speaking even a small part of it felt dangerous. Yet the truth was already leaking out, brought forward by a child who did not understand lies. Richard finally broke the silence. His voice was low and controlled, but something inside him had cracked. "You need to explain," he said, "everything." Anna swallowed hard. She looked around the room, at the staff standing quietly near the doors, at Eleanor holding the baby, at Richard whose eyes were filled with questions and fear. "Not here," she said softly. "Please." Eleanor hesitated, then nodded slowly. She asked the staff to leave the room. One by one, they walked out, closing the doors behind them. The mansion that once felt full now felt empty and small. Anna took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice was quiet, but every word carried weight. "Many years ago, before this house, before the money, before everything," she said, "I knew you." She looked directly at Richard. "You are not the man you are today." Richard's chest tightened. Memories he had buried under success came rushing back. Late nights, broken promises, choices made without thinking of consequences. He said nothing, but his face told Anna that he remembered. We were young, Anna continued. We believed life was simple, that love was enough. Her voice trembled, but she forced herself to continue. When I told you I was pregnant, everything changed. Eleanor's breath caught. Her arms tightened around Noah. She felt as if the ground beneath her was moving. Pregnant, she whispered. Richard felt dizzy. His heart pounded hard against his chest. That was years ago, he said almost to himself. I never knew. You chose not to know, Anna replied gently. You were building your future. I did not want to destroy it. Tears rolled down her cheeks, so I disappeared. The words filled the room like thunder. Eleanor felt tears rise in her own eyes. Confusion, pain, and fear twisted together inside her. She looked at Noah's face, then back at Anna, searching for answers she was not sure she wanted. I lost my baby, Anna continued, her voice breaking. At least, that is what I was told. Her hands trembled as she spoke. I was young, alone, and powerless. Richard's face turned pale. He remembered signing papers, trusting people to handle things quietly. He had believed the problem was solved, that his past was erased. Guilt washed over him like a wave. Anna looked at Noah again, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and pain. When I saw him, she said softly, I felt it. She placed her hand on her chest, a connection that cannot be explained. Eleanor's heart raced. She looked down at the child she had raised, loved, and protected since birth. Fear crept in her thoughts. Are you saying? She whispered, unable to finish the sentence. I am saying the truth has been hidden for too long, Anna replied, and the child feels it. Noah moved slightly in Eleanor's arms. His small fingers reached out, touching her face. Eleanor kissed his hand, tears falling freely now. She loved him with everything she had. No truth could change that. Richard ran his hand through his hair, his control finally slipping. Why now, he asked. Why come back into our lives? Anna shook her head. I did not come to claim anything, she said. I came because I was tired of running. Her voice softened. I needed to see with my own eyes that he was safe. The words hit Eleanor deeply. She looked at Anna not as an enemy, but as a woman carrying years of pain. And the baby? Eleanor said quietly, why does he react like this? Anna gave a sad smile. Children feel what adults hide, she said. They see truth without fear. The room fell silent again. This silence was different. It was filled with understanding, pain, and unanswered questions outside. The world continued as usual, unaware that a family inside the mansion was slowly breaking apart and rebuilding at the same time. Richard finally spoke again. His voice was softer now, filled with regret. I made mistakes, he said. I thought money could erase them. He looked at Eleanor, guilt in his eyes. I never imagined this. Eleanor felt anger rise inside her, then sadness, then exhaustion. She had lived a life she believed was complete. Now everything felt uncertain. Yet when she looked at Noah, she knew one thing for sure. He is my son, she said firmly. Nothing will change that. Anna nodded slowly. I know, she said, and I am grateful. Noah made a soft sound and reached toward Anna again. Eleanor hesitated, then slowly stepped closer, allowing the child to touch Anna's hand. The moment their skin met, Noah smiled, a small, peaceful smile that filled the room with warmth. Anna closed her eyes. Tears streamed down her face. She did not pull her hand away. This single touch meant more than years of silence. Richard watched the scene, his heart breaking and healing at the same time. He realized that no matter how much he tried to control life, some truths demanded to be seen. Nothing was decided that day. No clear answers were given. No future was planned, but one thing was certain. The secret that had lived in the shadows for years was now standing in the light, and there was no turning back anymore. The days after the truth began to surface were heavy and confusing for everyone in the mansion. Nothing felt normal anymore. The walls that once protected secrets now seemed to whisper them. Richard avoided everyone, spending long hours alone in his office, staring at documents without reading them. His mind kept returning to the past, to choices he had made without thinking of consequences. At night, sleep refused to come. He lay awake remembering Anna's words, her tears, and the look in Noah's eyes. That look haunted him. It was not the look of a child asking for toys or comfort. It was the look of someone searching for something lost. Richard had built his life on control and planning, but this was something money could not fix. Eleanor moved through the house quietly, caring for Noah as she always had, but inside her heart was restless. She loved her son deeply. That truth had never changed. Yet now questions echoed in her mind, questions she had never imagined asking. She watched Richard closely, noticing the guilt in his eyes, and for the first time, she felt a distance between them that felt impossible to cross. Anna stayed in her small room most of the time, only coming out when necessary. She felt like a guest who had stayed too long, even though she had done nothing wrong. Every step she took in the mansion felt heavy. She avoided looking at Richard, afraid that one glance might break her strength. Yet her thoughts always returned to Noah. Noah himself had changed. He was quieter now, more observant. His cries were fewer, but his eyes followed Anna whenever she was nearby. Sometimes he reached out toward her, not crying, not smiling, just reaching, as if something inside him was calling out. Eleanor noticed this and felt a pain she could not explain. One afternoon, Richard asked Anna to meet him in the study. The room was large and dark, filled with books and framed awards. Anna stood near the door, her hands clasped tightly together. Richard stood by the window, his back to her for a long moment. Neither spoke. "I built everything I have from nothing," Richard said finally, his voice low. "I thought success would silence my past." He turned to face her, his eyes tired. "But it followed me here." Anna said nothing. She had learned that silence often spoke louder than words. "I need to understand," Richard continued, "why the child reacts the way he does." His voice trembled slightly. "Why now?" Anna took a deep breath. "Because the truth has a way of waking up," she said softly. "And because Noah feels what we hide." Richard closed his eyes. Her words hit him deeply. He had spent his life hiding behind strength, authority, and money. But now, a baby had undone him. "I was afraid," Richard admitted, his voice breaking. "Afraid of losing control, afraid of ruining my future." He looked at Anna, shame clear on his face. "I made a terrible mistake." Anna felt tears rise again. "Mistakes don't disappear just because time passes," she said gently. "They wait." That evening, Eleanor joined them. She stood between the two of them, holding Noah in her arms. Her voice was calm, but firm. "We cannot live like this," she said. "This silence is hurting everyone." Noah shifted in her arms and looked at Anna, then at Richard. His small hand touched his chest, and he made a soft sound. Not a word, but full of emotion. The moment felt important, like something fragile, standing on the edge. Eleanor slowly walked toward Anna. Her heart was pounding. She placed Noah gently into Anna's arms. The room felt frozen. Anna's hands trembled as she held the child. Tears streamed down her face as Noah rested against her, calm and peaceful, as if he had finally found something familiar. Richard watched this scene, his chest tightening. He felt both pain and relief. Pain for what he had done, and relief for what was finally being revealed. He realized then that the baby's reactions were not meant to destroy his family, but to save it from living a lie. In that moment, Richard made a decision. "We will face this together," he said, his voice steady. "No more hiding." Eleanor looked at him, searching his face. "Are you sure?" she asked quietly. "I have to be," Richard replied. "For him." He looked at Noah, then at Anna, "and for all of us." Anna nodded slowly. She had lived her life carrying fear and regret. But now, for the first time, she felt something close to peace. Not because everything was solved, but because the truth was no longer alone. The mansion did not change overnight. Trust was not rebuilt in a single day. But something important had shifted. The baby's cries had turned into a voice that forced adults to listen, to reflect, and to face what they had tried to forget. As night fell, Eleanor stood by Noah's bed, watching him sleep. His face was calm, free of confusion. She placed a gentle kiss on his forehead, realizing that love was not weakened by truth, it was strengthened by it. In another room, Richard stood by the window once again, but this time he was not running from his reflection. He understood that true strength came not from control, but from honesty. And Anna, sitting quietly with her hands folded, felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. The story was far from over, but for the first time, it was finally moving forward. The decision to face the truth did not bring peace right away. Instead, it opened doors that everyone had been afraid to unlock. The mansion felt different now. Not louder, not quieter, but heavier. Every person inside carried questions in their heart, and no one knew what the answers would cost. The next morning, Richard called for a private doctor and a trusted family lawyer. He did not explain much on the phone, only that something from the past had returned. His voice was calm, but his hand shook when he put the phone down. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless. Anna spent the morning with Noah under Eleanor's watch. The baby was unusually calm, resting against Anna's shoulder as if he belonged there. Eleanor watched closely, her emotions tangled, jealousy, fear, and something close to understanding. She could see that Anna was not trying to take anything away. She was simply present, quietly, lovingly. Noah touched Anna's face with his small hand and smiled. That smile hurt Eleanor's heart and healed it at the same time. She realized that love did not disappear just because the truth was complicated. When the doctor arrived, Richard explained everything in a low voice. The room was tense. Anna sat silently, her hands folded. Eleanor held Noah close. The doctor listened carefully and nodded, suggesting a simple test. Nothing dramatic, nothing painful, just the truth confirmed by science. Anna agreed without hesitation. She had waited years for this moment, even if she never admitted it. Eleanor hesitated for a moment, then nodded as well. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at Noah. "Whatever the truth is," she said softly, "he is still my son." Richard felt something break inside him. He realized how strong Eleanor truly was, stronger than him in that moment. The test was arranged quickly. The wait that followed felt endless. Days passed slowly. Each hour felt heavier than the last. No one spoke much. The house moved in silence, like it was holding its breath. During those days, Richard and Anna spoke more than they ever had before, not about blame, not about anger, but about the past. Anna spoke of loneliness, of fear, of raising hope, and then burying it again. Richard listened, truly listened, and for the first time, he did not defend himself. "I thought walking away was easier," he admitted one evening. "I didn't understand the damage." Anna looked at him calmly. "We all survive the best way we know how," she said, "but survival leaves scars." Eleanor watched these conversations from a distance. Her pain was real, but so was her growth. She saw Richard not as a powerful man, but as a flawed one. She saw Anna not as a threat, but as a woman who had suffered silently. When the results finally arrived, Richard held the envelope for a long time before opening it. His hands shook, his chest felt tight. The room was filled with quiet prayers and unspoken fears. The truth was clear, undeniable. Noah was Anna's biological child. Eleanor closed her eyes, tears falling freely, but she did not scream. She did not collapse. She held Noah tighter, kissing his head. "You are mine," she whispered, "no matter what." Anna covered her face and cried. Not from victory, not from relief alone, but from years of pain finally being seen. She had not come to take, only to know. Richard felt the weight of his past settle fully on his shoulders. There was no denying it now. No hiding, no escaping. He had to face the consequences of his choices. "I failed both of you," he said quietly. "And I failed him." Eleanor looked at him with tired eyes. "You failed," she said honestly. "But what matters now is what you do next." That night, the three of them sat together for the first time. Not as enemies, not as strangers, but as people bound by a truth none of them had planned. Noah played on the floor between them, laughing softly, unaware of how much his existence had changed everything. Richard promised transparency, support, and respect, not as a rich man trying to fix things with money, but as a father trying to become better. Anna did not ask for a place, did not ask for a title. She only asked to remain in Noah's life. Honestly, openly. Eleanor took a deep breath and nodded. He deserves to know love from all sides, she said. Her voice broke, but her decision was strong. The house did not suddenly become happy. Pain does not disappear so easily. But something important happened that day. The truth was no longer a shadow. It stood in the open, difficult, painful, but real. Noah slept peacefully that night. No crying, no fear, just quiet dreams, as if his small heart finally felt balanced. And the adults around him understood something powerful. That the truth, no matter how late it arrives, has the power to heal, but only if people are brave enough to accept it. The truth changed everything, but did not change things easily. The days after the results felt heavier than all the days before. The mansion was still the same on the outside. Tall walls, quiet halls, guarded gates, yet inside, every heart was learning how to breathe again in a new way. Eleanor tried to keep life normal for Noah. She woke up early, prepared his meals, sang him to sleep, and smiled when he laughed. But when she was alone, the tears came quietly. She had given her whole heart to a child she believed was hers by blood and by destiny. Now she knew the blood told a different story, but her heart refused to let go. Anna kept her distance at first. Even after the truth was confirmed, she did not rush toward Noah or demand a place beside him. She understood Eleanor's pain too well. Every step she took was careful, respectful, full of patience. She had waited years for the truth. She could wait longer for acceptance. Richard felt the weight of everything pressing down on him. The power and confidence that once defined him meant nothing now. For the first time, he was not leading a company or making deals. He was facing people he had hurt, and that was far more difficult. He tried to be present, to listen more than he spoke, to admit his mistakes without excuses. One afternoon, Eleanor asked Anna to walk with her in the garden. The air was quiet, the flowers in full bloom. They walked slowly, neither speaking at first. The silence was uncomfortable but necessary. "I won't pretend this is easy," Eleanor said finally, her voice calm but honest. "Some days I feel strong, and some days I feel like I'm breaking." Anna nodded gently. "I understand," she replied. "I never wanted to take your place." Eleanor stopped walking and looked at her. "Then what do you want?" she asked, not angrily but truthfully. Anna took a deep breath. "I want him to grow up knowing the truth," she said, "and knowing he is loved, not divided." Eleanor looked down, tears filling her eyes. "I love him," she whispered. "I always will." "I know," Anna replied softly. "And that love saved him more than you realize." Something shifted in that moment. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but understanding. Two women standing on opposite sides of the same truth, realizing neither was the enemy. Inside the house, Noah played on the floor, building towers with blocks. He laughed freely, unaware of the emotional battles being fought around him. When Anna entered the room later, he crawled toward her without fear, then turned back toward Eleanor, smiling at both, as if his heart refused to choose only one. Eleanor watched this quietly. Her chest tightened, then softened. She realized that Noah was not confused. He was simply accepting love wherever it came from. Adults complicated what children felt naturally. That evening, Richard joined Eleanor on the balcony. The city lights glowed in the distance. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," he said, "but I want to do better." Eleanor looked at him, exhaustion clear in her eyes. "I don't know what forgiveness looks like yet," she said, "but I know we cannot live in anger." Richard nodded. "I will accept whatever boundaries you need." Down the hall, Anna packed her small bag. She had decided that if her presence caused pain, she would leave again. Loving Noah did not mean staying at any cost. She kissed his forehead softly while he slept, tears falling silently. Before she could leave, Eleanor entered the room. "Where are you going?" she asked. Anna froze. "I don't want to make things harder," she said. Eleanor took a deep breath. "Running away won't heal this," she said. "Staying might." Anna looked up, shocked. "Are you sure?" Eleanor nodded slowly. "For him," she said, "and maybe for us." That night, something new began. Not peace, not happiness, but healing. Slow, painful, honest healing. Days turned into weeks. Trust was built in small moments, shared meals, quiet conversations. Watching Noah take his first steps across the living room floor, each step felt symbolic, as if he was walking forward while pulling everyone else along with him. Noah began to speak more clearly now. Simple words, simple needs. His laughter returned fully, and the crying stopped. The tension that once surrounded him faded, as if his soul finally felt balanced. Eleanor and Anna learned how to exist in the same space, sometimes awkward, sometimes emotional, but always respectful. Richard learned humility, learning that being a father meant showing up, not hiding behind success. The mansion slowly felt warmer, not because the past was erased, but because it was finally faced. Everyone understood that the road ahead would not be perfect. There would be questions, challenges, and moments of pain, but there would also be honesty, growth, and love. And in the center of it all was a child who had spoken the truth before anyone else dared to listen. A child whose innocent reaction changed lives forever. Time moved forward, slowly but surely, and with it came a new way of living inside the mansion. The past had been exposed, the truth accepted, and now everyone had to learn how to live with it. Healing did not come suddenly, but it came in small, quiet moments that slowly changed everything. Noah grew quickly. His laughter filled the halls where silence once lived. He took his first confident steps across the marble floors, his tiny feet carrying hope with every movement. To him, the mansion was no longer a place of tension. It was simply home, a place where he felt safe, loved, and understood. Eleanor became stronger with time. She stopped fighting her pain and began to understand it. She realized that love was not something that could be measured by blood alone. She had raised Noah, comforted him, protected him, and that bond could never be erased. Slowly, her fear faded, replaced by a calm strength she never knew she had. Anna found her place without forcing it. She remained gentle and patient, never trying to replace Eleanor, never demanding more than what was given. She shared quiet moments with Noah, reading to him, holding his hand, watching him grow. Each moment felt like a blessing she never thought she would have. Richard changed in ways no one expected. He stopped hiding behind work and money. He spent more time at home, listening instead of commanding, watching instead of controlling. He learned that being present mattered more than being powerful. And every time he saw Noah smile, he was reminded of the chance he had been given to become better. One evening, the family sat together in the garden. The sky was painted with soft colors as the sun began to set. Noah played between Eleanor and Anna, laughing as he chased butterflies. Richard watched them quietly, his heart full and heavy at the same time. In that moment, Richard stood up and spoke. His voice was calm but emotional. "I cannot change the past," he said, "but I promise to protect the future." He looked at Eleanor, then Anna. "Our child deserves honesty, love, and unity." Eleanor nodded slowly. Tears filled her eyes, but she did not look away. "He already is love," she said. "Now we must give him truth." Anna placed her hand gently over Noah's head. "And freedom," she added softly. As years passed, Noah grew into a curious and thoughtful child. He asked questions, sometimes difficult ones, but he was always given honest answers. He learned that families could be formed in different ways, and that love was the strongest bond of all. The mansion transformed with time, not in its walls, but in its spirit. Laughter replaced silence, warmth replaced fear, and understanding replaced judgment. The house no longer held secrets that needed to be hidden. One day, Noah stood at the same spot where he once cried as a baby. He did not remember the moment clearly, but the story had been told to him gently. Carefully, without blame or anger, he looked at Anna and Eleanor standing beside him and smiled. "I was crying," he said innocently, "because I felt something." Both women smiled, their hearts full. That moment confirmed what everyone had learned. Sometimes children see the truth before adults do. Sometimes innocence has the power to heal wounds that time alone cannot. The story that began with a cry ended with understanding. The truth that once caused fear became the foundation for a stronger family, and the words spoken by a child long ago became the reason lives were changed forever. What once shocked everyone became a lesson that stayed with them for the rest of their lives. That love does not divide. It multiplies, and truth, no matter how late it arrives, always finds its way to the surface.